wonderful time today.
Okay, thank you, sir. You're welcome.
Yes, thank you too.
Okay, please, everybody, we would like to do our introduction so that our lecturer will know us. Okay, I'm going to start. My name is Joy Pilate.
Hello, Joy. Sorry. Hello, Joy. Sorry. Except the
Sir.
lecturer specifies that we do that, we don't do that. If we have 200 students, we don't start introducing ourselves. The lecturer is a very busy person. He can see us. If he wants that, he will specify. The other lecturer specified. That's why we did that. So please, let's have the lecturer have the floor. He's a very busy person, so we don't keep him waiting, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Sam, and thank you, Joy. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here today. My class will be very, very short. Like Mr. Sam said, I have a lot I do, so it's quite, a squeeze to be here, but I count it an honor and a privilege to be talking to all of you. Now, there's a lot that, you need to know as you're preparing to be a media personality, a media star, to walk in the media space. There's a lot you need to master. But the greatest art and the greatest gift or the greatest capacity you must grow is the ability to connect with your audience. Now, connecting with an audience, is a very vague subject. There's so many angles to it. Is it a virtual audience? Is it a physical audience? Is it a radio audience? Is it a TV audience? Audience is very, based off the kind of platform you're speaking on. I've been privileged to do broadcasting for well over 10 years now, and I've done it across many cities around the world. And all of that play a role in, the whole idea of connecting to audiences and how that you need to master certain things to help you get across to people, because attention span is really short nowadays. People are shorter in their listening. So, you're doing something to get their attention is very important. So having said that, today I want to talk about using your voice as a tool to connect with people. You might well know 90% of communication are nonverbal. The other 10% is the verbal component. However, the verbal component is just as important as the other 90. Body language, hand gestures, eye movement, etc., are all connected to how we communicate. But you see that 10%, that really slim 10%, which is the tone of your voice and the way you communicate, is really, really important. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So knowing how to use that 10% is very, very important. And today we want to talk about two components very briefly. The first one is intonation. Intonation, I'm sure you must have heard it in English class or language class, where it talks about the rise and fall in a sentence. But in broadcast communication, media communication, intonation can be the difference between a boring show and an exciting one. How do I mean? I'll give you an example. You tune in your radio or you turn on your TV set and you see someone says, "Good evening and welcome to the news. My name is Ayeni. I want to tell you about how the federal government has now discovered that there is crude oil theft in Nigeria." And you turn on another channel and the person says, "Good evening and welcome to the evening news. This day on the headlines, the federal government has discovered that crude oil theft is now a recurrent decimal in the country." Speaking earlier today, the Minister of Finance. Which of these two would you listen to, Joy?
The second one, sir.
Second?
The second.
Was it saying the same news?
Sir?
Were the two stations saying the same news?
Yes, sir.
So why did you choose to listen to the second one? Let me ask somebody else. Okay, I have here Olubumi Nasiru. I hope that's the correct name.
Yes.
Just picking someone randomly. Olubumi Nasiru, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Excellent. So which of the two would you listen to?
The second one, because it was upbeat, it was catchy, because of the inflections, one would want to listen to that.
Thank you very much. Very good observation there. That's exactly what it means to use your intonation as a tool to connect with people. A lot of people, while speaking in broadcasting, have a very flat tone. And if you want to cut across with your audience, if you want to have a reach, a handshake with them, you must have the right tone, the rise and the fall of the sentence. Broadcast is not a straight graph. It's a sine graph. Sine graph means it has a peak and it has a trough. So it rises and falls. And your ability to master that rise and fall will really help you in your delivery. When you're even anchoring on the red carpet, no matter what you're doing, it's just a strong communication tool that can help you to reel in people. For instance, when you're playing music on radio stations, they tell you do fast, fast, slow, fast, fast, slow, slow, fast, 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 slow, not just all fast songs. Why? Because as a tendency, the radio station can get monotonous. People just zone out when you get too monotonous and you're just sounding the same way. But when there's a difference in how you say what you're saying, then you get people's attention. And so the first rule of thumb you must remember is you must use your intonation correctly. You should not sound overtly excited and you should not sound depressed. If you had a bad day at work or your bank removed money that was not supposed to be removed and the thing is peppering you, you should not come to the platform to come and say, today we are going to be talking about intonation and how it must be used when you are broadcasting. I'm sure a lot of you would have turned off your Zoom by now if I was talking that way. So what you do is you learn to ride the wave, okay? So please remember that. I said a couple of things. Number one, intonation helps you to reel in your audience, particularly because attention spans are shorter. You must learn how to ride the wave because it's a sine graph. It has a peak and it has a trough. It has a rise and it has a fall. So you must be able to do this effectively to communicate and get across to your audience. And the second thing you must do is to master your pitch. Pitch is the degree of highness or lowness of a sound with tandem to its frequency. So someone has the high pitch where the sound is high because the frequency is high, or has a low pitch where the frequency is low because the sound is low and the frequency is low. High pitch, typically in terms of voice structures, women tend to have higher pitches than men. That's why you have ladies sound like this and men sound like this. That's all about pitch, the high and lowness. Now, when you are communicating with people, you must have a desirable pitch moderation, which sounds bright enough to get their attention, but not too high to distract them or send them away. It's imperative that you master your pitch control, because I've seen some people who are broadcasting and it feels like they're shrilling. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, particularly for sportscasters. Some of them, in a bid to sound exciting, they start to shrill. And I said, now play the ball. He played the ball. He played the ball. And it's a goal. If you see Western broadcasters, you notice they don't have that kind of challenge. You find people like, I don't watch so much of football, so pardon me if you're a football loving person, but you hear things like, and see Ronaldo with the ball, passes to the keeper, and then he goes to the left, hits a corner, and he kicks the ball, and then you have it. Oh yes, it is a goal. Hello. You need to mute your mic.
Adela Daniel, can you please mute your mic? Adela Daniel, if he doesn't, the host, you know what to do. Mr. Ayeni, apologies. Go ahead.
All right, so your pitch must be proper. If you are on the morning show, you're doing an early morning show, because people are just waking up, your pitch cannot be like you just woke up. You have to be moderately elevated. So if you're doing a night show, because people are trying to go to bed, you must moderate your pitch so that you're not keeping them awake when they want to actually fall asleep. All of these things are tools that, would make your broadcast or your media journey more engaging. You can connect with an audience and be able to keep them listening to you because you are using your voice as a tool. In television, in tandem with your voice, your facial expression is also necessary. You need to smile. You need to look in the camera. You need to nod your head appropriately and follow the mood of the content you're trying to communicate to your listeners, because people are seeing you as well as listening to you. But it does not mean the vocal technique is not to be followed, whether you're doing TV or you're doing radio. As long as you're a broadcaster, you must master two things that I've said today. Number one is your pitch control, and the second thing is your intonation. Because if you are talking to people for a long period of time, these are the things that will keep them listening to you. So whether you're on a music station, an entertainment station, you're a sportscaster, you're a newscaster, you're a reporter, whatever it is that you're doing, you must know these two things. That is how you perpetuate yourself with the audience. You have people listening to you. I've been privileged to work on different parts of radio for over the years, and it's the same rule of thumb that I use every single time that people tell me, oh, I enjoy your show, I enjoy listening to you. And that is the key to having a great communication with your audience. Like I said, it's going to be a very short class because I had to plead with Mr. Sam to just take me for a few minutes. But I'm going to take questions. If you have a question or you want a clarification, please signify. The captain will let me know, and then I can take it up from there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Adekunle, let's hear your question.
All right, sir. Good evening. Thank you very much for this wonderful lecture. Sir, please, because we're talking on intonation and pitching in broadcasting, can you please advise us on how newbies in the industry can handle issues of timidity in their voice? Because I've had situations where I talk to people on some of the priming ethics they need when they are going into broadcasting, and when they are presenting, you can immediately tell that they have some sort of fears in their voice as if they want to cry. So what's your advice on that? How can they beat this particular fright? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Adekunle. I believe I got your name right. The first thing you must deal with to conquer microphone fright is to put in your mind that you're talking to one person, either behind the camera or behind the microphone. So imagine that one person could be your mother, could be your friend, could be your sister, could be your cousin. Imagine that you're talking to that one person. So I'm talking to one person, and that one person will be my focal point. I'm not going to bear in mind that, hey, 100,000 people are listening to me. Oh, hey, God, this is national broadcast. No, I'm just putting that one person in view. So if it is my mom, my wife, my spouse, my brother, whoever it is, that person becomes the one person I'm talking to, and that person becomes my object of engagement. When you do that, it will reduce the tension in your voice. Second thing you must do is preparation. Good preparation, a good show prep will get you in the mood and get you in the zone. It will minimize your errors, because one of the things that gets people agitated is the fear of errors. So if you've practiced your script properly, if you've gone over the way you're going to connect the song to the other, introduce the guest, ask the questions in the interview, if you've done all of those things over and over and over and over and over and over again, practice births confidence. Okay, so you need to get your show preparation thoroughly done, particularly if you're a newbie. Someone like me, I can get the script 2 minutes to enter the studio and I'll deliver like I had it since last night. It's experience. I've been doing this for years. But for someone who's just getting into the field, you have to have gone over that script like your life depends on it. So 2 things. Number 1, have an image of a person that you're speaking to. They call it the object of attention in your mind. The second, you must do your preparation properly so that you are confident when you go in there, and it will help to reduce your tension.
Okay, thank you, sir. So there is another question here. Inema Basi Gospel, please, let's hear you.
All right, thank you very much. So please, I want to ask, please, how can someone, because these days you listen to broadcasters and they are trying to, I don't know, they're trying to pronounce the word, they're trying to be, let's say, fluent in their pronunciation, but at the same time they miss the pitch, they miss the tonation. So please, how can we learn this? Which should we prioritize? Is it fluentness in speech or tonation and pitch mastering, sir?
Okay, thank you very much. So phonetics is different from vocal control. Phonetics is controlled by the language. Every language has a proper way it's supposed to be spoken and pronounced. However, vocal control is mastered by the person and their voice. So I'm not talking so much about phonetics, but you must prioritize what you're saying beyond how you sound. Because if you sound great and you're saying rubbish, so let me give you an example. I saw a girl fly blue like a butterfly, and she came into the room and she was just wearing a pink trolley and her dress, and it was so black and it looked like a car that was flying on a runway. I sounded good, but I was saying rubbish. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So, yes, you must prioritize what you're saying, and then your second objective will be how you're saying it. It's not so much about you speaking with an accent. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Can hear you.
Okay, so it's not so much about you speaking with an accent, like you controlling your voice. So vocal control is what you need to work with. So pronunciation comes with phonetics and proper use of language, but this is voice control using your rise, your fall, and your pitch to be able to get your audience captivated and they keep listening to you. I hope you understand it now. Any more questions?
Yes, sir. There's another question.
Okay.
Best man, let's hear you.
Good evening, sir. How can you overcome your personal problems before going to live broadcasting? Like you stated an example, like maybe the bank removed the money, the bank people remove the money from your bank account and you don't like it. So how do you kind of overcome those challenges before going into live broadcasting?
Okay, live broadcasting is just like acting. You're playing a role. So an actor is not like imagine you see someone like Jackie Chan now. Jackie Chan is not always, if you see him on a normal day, he's not jumping from one building to another. But in a movie, he's doing that because he's playing a character. So that is it. When you're on radio, you have a character. That's why it's called on-air personality. So the emphasis is on personality. So you have a persona on air. That is who you are when you're on the microphone or in front of the camera. Whatever it is that you had to deal with prior to that time has to be subject to that personality. So you're acting a script, whatever your script says. So your script says, "Good morning, Lagos, and welcome to a brand new Friday morning." That's what your script says. So you can't go there and say, "Good morning, Lagos. Oh, hey, this Friday, chai, 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 chai. Ah, Friday." No, you can't do that. You have to follow the script. So you must remember, you're just like an actor. You're playing a role. Well, we are human, so every now and then your emotions will seep through. But as you grow in the craft, you learn how to manage and master it. And, I live in Lagos, so many times you're so annoyed when you get into the studio, a damn fool guy bashed you, someone did something, you're so pissed off. You turn on the microphone and you smile like nothing happened. It's show business and the show must go on.
Okay. Dekunle, I'm seeing your hand. Do you want to ask another question? Please, let's hear you.
Yes, I have another question. Thank you. All right, Sir Ayeni, once again, I must thank you. My next question is concerning voicing. I must say that you have a very intimidating profile, and it's quite commendable. Now, sir, I delved into the world of voicing of recent, and one of the observations I've come to know is usage of words, how many words you can take for a minute when you're voicing a script for somebody or you're trying to run on one or two or the rest of that. Now, sir, what's your advice on the amount of words a voiceover artist could take at, say, 1 minute when they are delivering a script? That's number one. Secondly, you spoke on the issue of prep for show. We know that because of some sort of relaxed measure in the broadcast industry right now, some people do go into the studio with partial scripts. It's not longer fully scripted, and sometimes their emotion could get the best part of them. Like today, I was listening to a program on the radio, and they were talking about how police women and some police personnel were being quote unquote abducted by civilians in the name of the police people getting into their vehicle first. And at some point, I could immediately tell that the broadcasters were, becoming too personal about the issue. They were almost losing their cool. So how can we checkmate some of these things to make sure that we still operate within the parameters of what the broadcasting ethics demands? Thank you.
And like you said, Adekunle, thank you for your question. It is ethics. Ethics must be followed. A doctor will not say because he's having a bad day, he will give you an injection inside your eye. The ethics of the profession says he must give you the injection on your bum. So ethics are ethics. Anybody who violates it is violating ethics. So the people you talked about did not do well by not managing their emotions. It doesn't mean you should be emotionless when you're on broadcast, radio or TV, but you should moderate your emotions because you're not speaking to yourself alone. And that's why we don't use F words. We don't use certain words on radio. Why? Because the profession has ethics. So those people were clearly in violation of that. Second, the question you asked, words per minute. It depends on how well you speak and how fast you've trained yourself. Some people are so good, they can do 60 to 80 words per minute, right? It depends. The average typically is between 45, 40, depending. So it's all dependent on your capacity and how you are able to manage the words. And sometimes if the script has a lot of consonants stacked together, you need to read it slower than if there are many vowels. Vowels are quicker and easier to read than consonants. So if you have so many consonants, cake, kum, skap, ku, skap, it will take some time to work it. as compared to if they're vowels. All right. So that's that with words per minute. I'm seeing questions in the chat box, so let me just go over them. John Peters says, "Good evening, sir. Thank you for your lectures. I really admire the sound of your voice." Thank you, John. Appreciate it. He says, "I'm a radio presenter presenting country music on radio. I cannot modulate my voice when presenting, like you said. I only present with a natural voice, though I don't love it, but my audience really loves the program. How do I work on my voice to have the sweet voice that sounds like yours?" Okay, first thing, John, when I say modulate your voice, I'm not saying you should increase your pitch. So if your voice sounds like the way it sounds, you should still use rise and fall with your voice. I'm not a country music person, but let's assume you're listening to Don Williams. So instead of you saying, "That was Don Williams playing his song from 1980, the classic," that sounds a little boring, but you can say, "Oh, that was Don Williams playing his song from 1980. It's a classic. Can you remember when you played that song on the radio?" That way, I'm captivating the audience. I'm not using a high pitch, but my voice is still rising and falling. So that's important. So that's what you can do. Master the rise and fall. Let your voice sound like a musical tune. Music is not just straight. There's up, there's down, there's fast, there's slow. You must do that modulation with your voice. Victor Clee asks a question, says, "If you have a British accent, is it better you speak like a normal Nigerian in order to have effectively communicated with listeners?" No, you don't have to speak like a normal Nigerian. Just be natural. If your accent is a British accent, then stay with it. If you're Nigerian, don't try to fake a British accent because you want to sound foreign. People would know that you're faking it and they would not listen to you. They'll think you're a liar. So if you tell them Nigeria has $20 billion in reserve, they would not believe you because even your accent is a lie. So be natural. So if your British accent is natural, stick with it. If it is not natural, please use your natural accent, but make sure your pronunciations are correct. Emeka Tonya says, "Good day, sir. What if someone naturally has a poor intonation? Can it be worked upon? And if so, how can it be improved?" Yes, it can be worked upon. There are speech therapists who specialize in doing that. Because of the confines of the time and the platform, I might not be able to, give you everything, but you can Google it, speech therapist or speech therapy on how to improve my intonation. You'll find them there. There are certain words you can repeat over time, certain exclamation marks that will help you know, oh, for instance, oh is oh, not oh. When you say oh, you're sounding like sad, but oh, it will give you that exclamation because it has an exclamation mark. So things like that. A question will always have a question mark and a comma, and all of those little punctuations will help you. All right. Anyway, but do Google that and you'll find some answers, more answers. Victor says, talking about emotions, sometimes we hear some OAP say, "I'm in a good mood and I'm in a bad mood." Is it right? Oh, no, it's not wrong to say that. It's just wrong for your mood to affect your performance. I can say, "Oh, yes, I'm in a good mood. I just won the jackpot." I mean, I can't come to the studio and win $1 million and I'll be sounding like, "Oh, I just won $1 million." No, it will show. But the day I don't win $1 million, my listeners should not know I don't have money in my bank account. So you can tell them I'm in a good mood or, "Oh, I'm in a bad mood. I'm not in a good mood." But it must not affect my work. It must not show in the work I'm doing. I can be emotive. Maybe I hear that some people died in Borno State and I want to talk about it. I should not say, "Oh, 500 people just died in Borno State. Wow." No, it'll be like 500 Nigerians just died in Borno State. That is not good news. So I don't sound excited, but I have my emotions in place and you can feel the pulse of what I'm trying to say. That keeps the audience captivated. All right. So those are questions from the chat box. I think I have to exit this classroom now. Thank you, Mr. Sam, once again for this opportunity. Joy, can I hand over the class to you?
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate your time spent with us. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Here comes the end of the class. See you in the group. Have a nice day. Thank you.